Welcome back to another episode of Boom and Bust, your home for NFL Draft Talk. I'm your host, Terry, and today, talking about 2019 tight ends. So, as always, at the end of this, we'll do a real grade segment. Today, we're looking at the Los Angeles Chargers and their draft from 3 years ago. Also, if you want to go to the description, you can see the link that takes you to the draft folder with some more detailed breakdowns of kind of the scouting notes. So we'll just cover kind of top three guys and then a couple guys I like, and then we'll go to the real grade. So what I will say is this is a good position group. Unlike the rest of the skill positions that have been really lackluster, this is a pretty good group. Especially coming off of last year, where last year's group was very underwhelming as far as the top level talent, mostly, but even as far as the depth now, a number of those guys end up getting to play, but still just not the caliber that we were used to, especially coming off of a draft with like OJ Howard and those guys. So we had a big fall off last year, and then this year seems like a real good rise where we got some real good prospects. All right. So with that being said, I will also say this is probably the first time that I've been doing a draft that the top two prospects at pretty much all the skill positions are from the same school. Now, we've seen that happen before at certain positions, but not at each one. And that's arguably, you could say, for the running backs, Damian Harris and Josh Jacobs are top two, depending on who you talk to. Josh Jacobs definitely a number one back, but some people think Damian is the second best. Then you're talking about wide receiver. DK Metcalf, healthy especially, and AJ Brown, a lot of people think are hands down the top two receivers from Ole Miss. And then tight ends, we got TJ Hawkinson and you got Noah Fant, who some people think are the two type tight ends. So that's never really happened before that I've been doing a draft. So that's kind of crazy. But speaking of those two, let's get into it. You got TJ Hawkinson from Iowa, and you know what? He does a little bit more of the dirty work, I would say, than Noah Fant does. And he definitely didn't have the name that Noah Fant did coming into this season. But I like TJ. I like his attitude and the effort he gives as a blocker. I always like pro-style guys because, you know, again, it gives you a learning curve or gives you ahead of the learning curve than some of the other guys. So I would say overall, a lot of the prospects lined up in line, as we say, which for the last few years wasn't always the case. Without a Bama or Wisconsin or, you know, a pro-style team, most of these guys were just in the slot the whole time. So starting to see that kind of go back. As I said, the two tight end stuff is getting more popular. So, but TJ, you know, he lined up classic fullback, did some H-back, did two tight end sets, single tight end out in the slot, lined up all over. And again, I like his tools. I think he could take better angles when he's blocking. But as far as driving his feet, and I don't think he's the strongest guy, but driving his feet and the effort, I think is there. He definitely wants to bury people and not just get in the way. So that's good, especially as he continues to get stronger. But I just think his angles need to get a little better. And that could help out his blocking a lot because, I'm fine with where he puts his hands. I'm fine with him understanding the scheme. I just think as those blockers try to move, if he continues to move his feet instead of stopping on contact, and if he continues to take better angles, especially on kick out blocks and all these second level blocks, he'll be even better. But even with that being said, I think he's one of the better blockers in the group. And so then you gotta look at the receiving part because these evaluations for tight ends pretty much is a mix of offensive tackle and wide receiver. So you're looking at the receiving part. I don't think he has anything special speed or agility wise. Even his route running, I think, while it's not super basic, it's not super sophisticated either. He gets good releases though. And so he's able to get down the field. He's able to check release and get past the traffic and get into his route, which honestly not all tight ends do well. So that I appreciate that. But outside of that, I mean, I think he's got a good catch radius. I don't know that he has any crazy ball skills. I definitely don't think he has any crazy athleticism, or route running, but he's got good yak ability. And so that's really all you need. And actually to take a moment to kind of go back and talk about the tight end position, this is one that is much like the receiver position and the running back position, where you starting to see that it doesn't take top flight talent to be effective in the league. However, the value trend has went the opposite of those two positions. The value trend of tight end has went up for whatever reason, because again, and I think back to a number of tight ends, that really kind of showed that to me. Number one probably being Hunter Henry out of Arkansas, where I just really did not think he had anything. And so him coming into the league and being effective as he was with a good quarterback really opened my eyes. I mean, Gronk kind of paved the way for the tight ends. For a while, we thought it was Jimmy Graham ushering in a new era of tight end. But as we've seen, that era of tight end, the kind of big slot, that's still there a little bit, but that really disappeared. What really is the thing now is the mismatch, putting those guys in man coverage and just giving them a chance to shield people out, box them out, catch the ball. The zone wreckers where they don't have to run great routes. They just get into a nice zone, catch the ball and move the chains. And so the way I used to grade tight ends before is like, I'm like, man, these guys can't get separation at all. Like, if you can't make it as a receiver, you're definitely not going to make it as a tight end that can't get separation. But then we started to see with Gronk, that doesn't matter. When we start getting guys that can go up and get it, but most importantly, we start getting guys that can box people out and make a 50-50 catch in man coverage. So that pretty much eliminated the need to get open by separation. And so a lot of these tight ends that aren't great route runners, it doesn't matter, because honestly, this whole group, most of them don't get open in man coverage. Most of them are just zone killers. And in this league, that's really all you need. But the blocking is plus. So anyway, Noah Fant, also from Iowa, blew me away, was jumping off the screen last season. I'm like, man, whenever you could watch a player and then another player catches your eye, it's special. So I was waiting for him to come out this year. I think he looked a little faster last year, but he's still pretty much every bit as good as a prospect. And so I'm really excited for him. I think he's better than Hockenson, because he's not a bad blocker either. He's not even an okay blocker. He's a pretty good blocker. And so it's not like, even though he did more of the slot stuff, it's not like he never blocked. He definitely got in there and get his hands dirty. I don't think he enjoys it or goes as hard as Hockenson does, but he's a little stronger functionally than Hockenson, and I think he definitely could get after people in the run game, because at Iowa you had no choice but to be part of the run blocking game. So it's not like he's not familiar, and I don't think it's not like he can't do it. I think he actually was pretty good in pass coverage too, which really makes both of them dangerous, because the check releases are going to kill people, because it's very good chance that they're actually blocking. But then once you think they're blocking, they could leak out. So Fant, for me, I think you got that type of quick twitch ability to run routes. You got that catch radius, them ball skills. I think he's going to be an absolute stud at the next level. And we haven't seen a tight end prospect this good, I don't think, since O.J. Howard. And then we got Irv Smith Jr. from Alabama, who is really good too. He'd be my number 2 after Fant, and then I would probably put Hockenson at 3. But Irv Smith, while not as big as the other two, he's explosive as an athlete. And again, Alabama, you can't hide from the run game and blocking. He blocks, and he does a bit of the H-back stuff too, the lead blocking. They use him in creative ways. And I think he's just really scratching the surface as a pass catcher. He probably has the crispest routes, I would say, out of the 3, where he really can sink his hips and make sharp cuts. And so it just kind of remains to be seen what he can do with his ball skills wise. If he's going to win 50-50 balls for you, I didn't really see a whole lot of that on the tape that I saw, but doesn't mean he can't do it. But the other thing that he brings was really good yak ability. He runs really hard, and I would say he's probably a little bit better than Noah Fant as far as a yak receiver. So that's going to be huge. And again, he brings you the pass option. So I don't think you could go wrong with the first two guys. And I don't think Hawkinson's going to be no chump either. So really strong three prospects that, again, even though you don't need a whole bunch to get open in the league as a tight end, it helps to have guys that can really stretch the field with good routes. So, that's what put Fant and Smith ahead for me. And again, it's kind of for tight ends, it's looking at the ability to block and all those aspects, but it's also looking at the same aspects as a receiver, route running, speed, agility, hands, ball skills. So, I just think these are some really good packages, this year. And so outside of those three, my favorite is probably Caden Smith out of Stanford. Now, I don't think he has flashy, athletic skills, but he does remind me kind of Ertz. Ertz now, not Ertz in Stanford. Ertz in Stanford was a different story. But I think they use him more than they use the tight ends back in the day. So I feel like Caden got the benefit of that, where he's playing a little more out wide and getting more opportunities. The thing about Caden is that he's a tick above average. So even though average tight ends like a Hunter Henry that average athleticism can get open, I think just being a little tick above average speed and agility is really going to help him. Not a spectacular route runner, but again, he can find open spaces. And the great thing about him is his ball skills. He can really go up and attack the ball, and he shows a very large catch radius that's just going to make him even better as a safety valve. So Caden Smith out of Stanford is probably a guy that I look to. So overall, really good tight end class. I wasn't able to get to everybody. Some people did have tape. Some people were injured. And I think even outside of this group that I saw, it looked like some intriguing prospects. So I think, especially if you're comparing it to last year, this class blows last year's class out of the water. So, happy to see a group in the skill positions that's really good. And I'm excited to go to defense, man. There's always shifts in the year. It's my shift from offensive line to skill positions where it's like, okay, I'm geared up. And then it's the shift from offense to defense where I'm geared up. So I'm happy to be done with the offense. No shade, but the defense is more fun for me to watch. But also I know there's a lot more prospects this year. So the tight end group, though, ended it on a good note with an offensive group that isn't super attractive this year. So there we go. All right, so we're going to get to the real grade. Today we are doing the Los Angeles Chargers. I always want to say San Diego. And technically they were San Diego at this time. But anyway, going to get into it. Let's go down the list. Number 1, we got Joey Bosa out of Ohio State. Number 3 overall, still with the team. Of course, star in the league. We got number 2, the aforementioned Hunter Henry, tight end out of Arkansas, who still with the team. Starter, I guess you could kind of say a star in the league, but has been really injured. Number 3, you got Max Turek, center out of USC, no longer in the league. You got Joshua Perry, linebacker out of Ohio State, no longer in the league. Jatavius Brown, linebacker from Akron, still with the team, starting. You got Drew Kaser, punter, who was with the team up until this year. Was with the Packers, and then he's a free agent now. So you got Derek Watt, who is still on the team and a starter. And then you got Donovan Clark, who is no longer in the league. I don't even think he made it through training camp. So 8 players. Out of the 8, you got 4 that are still with the team. Out of the 4 that are still with the team, all 4 are starting. Technically, Hunter Henry, when healthy, is a starter. So you can say all 4 are starters. Even though Derek Watt plays fullback, that isn't used a lot, but still a starter. So half your players still on your team. And you got a linebacker starting in the 5th round. That's pretty big. Fullback starting in the 6th, kind of a wash. Boza was your number 3 overall, so hitting on him isn't super impressive, but, it's always good to get a star. Now, when your 3rd round pick is no longer in the league, that hurts. And I was not a big fan of Max Turek at all, coming out. So 3rd round was really high for me to pick him, and for him not to work out, that kind of hurts your draft. 4th round, as we said, that's a value pick, and Joshua Perry, who I really like coming out, didn't stick with the team, so that hurts too. And then your 7th round pick is no longer in the league, so that's kind of a wash there. And then the 6th round punter not being in the league, that's kind of a wash. But your 3rd and 4th round pick, those hurt. Those hurt a lot. And Hunter Henry, he's been hurt a lot. I don't ever put injuries really, unless there was something before, lingering before you drafted them. So I don't really hit him for that. But I will say the 3rd and 4th round picks kind of really hurt. So overall, I would give this a C. Alright, so that's it for this episode. Go down to the comment section. Let me know what you think about the tight ends group. Any particular person you're interested in. Tell me what you think about the Chargers draft. Do you think it was a C, or do you think it was higher or maybe lower? Get the conversation started. Spread it around. Thumbs up, subscribe. And thank you for listening.